So let me get that started. So yeah, so Black Owned Maine. So we're a very new organization. We're 9 months old. There's often the perception or the idea that we've been around forever and people are finally finding out about us, but we really started in the midst of protesting. So when everyone around literally the whole world, right, was protesting in the streets, I decided to try to come up with a different way to protest, something more tangible, something that people can do from anywhere, right? So especially with COVID, myself, someone with a small child, going to a physical protest, this wasn't necessarily an option at the time. So Black Owned Maine came to be. There was no like preconceived notions of what this was going to be or what it wasn't going to be. It just decided to take its own shape and its own form. And I think that's important for people to know because we don't have like a playbook. We don't have like this super drawn out plan. We're just really feeling the energy of what's going on in the world and acting on it. So you may notice sometimes that things with us shift, and not like we're unorganized or don't know what we're doing, but essentially we just kind of float with the ocean, right? and figure things out as we go. So I appreciate sticking with us for those who have been with us since we began in June, and for anyone joining us now, I really appreciate your patience as we grow into something bigger than we already are, and we've already grown exponentially in the last few months. So it's mind blowing. Honestly, I don't really know another word for it. So let's see here. So I really like to frame this pledge as action, collective action, right? I would make the assumption that a majority of you are here today because you've already pledged solidarity. Whether you've pledged solidarity within your own self, whether you've pledged solidarity on the internet or on your website or anywhere, right? You've already made the commitment to, or you've already made the realization that something has to change, right? So that's where this pledge comes into play. And we say collective action because we all, as individuals, can only do so much as individuals, right? If we can come together, then we can come together for the common good and to really take this thing off the ground. So in the pledge, right, and being that it's action based, we are asking folks to come up with a creative offering or a creative solution, right? So that's super open ended. It can be anything. Some examples include if you're a retail store offering shelf space to Black owned businesses. So perhaps you've never thought about that before, right? You've never really looked at those metrics before. So it kind of forces you to look outside the box, to do something different that you may have not done before. It might feel a little uncomfortable or a little weird at times, but that's growth, right? And growth forces you to feel a little uncomfortable. So that's one example. Another example, we have accountants, we have lawyers, we have consultants who either offer pro bono work or they outsource their work. So say you come to me, I'm a lawyer that mostly deals with civil law, but you have a criminal case. And I'll say, okay, you know what? Here's my person over here who deals with criminal law. And we outsource that. So we have an example, someone that we work with, he has a major law firm. He probably outsources about $1 million to $5 million of work every year. So he's going to be really looking at who he's sourcing that to, and just be more conscious that he's sourcing it, maybe not necessarily only to other Black lawyers, but just to other people in general outside of his normal circle, his normal circle, his normal sphere of influence, if you want to call it that. Now, other examples can be, I mean, like I said, it's super open-ended. So say you own an art gallery. You own a gallery, you have artists come in, or you are someone who commissions artists, just looking again and seeing if you can start to commission more Black artists. Now, Black Owned Maine, I hope I'm not talking too fast. If I am, someone just tell me. Because if I get excited, I'll just start going up. So sorry, where was I going with that? Yeah, so if you're someone, like I said, if you're someone who owns an art gallery or you commission art pieces, looking at that. Also, we at Black Owned Maine, we try to focus on the new census data came out. So we try to focus on like the 2%, right? So we know Maine is 94% white, right? We know that. Everyone knows that, regardless of who you are, right? Maine is like, okay, cool, we know that, right? That's important. Everything's important. All the statistics are important, right? But let's focus on that 2%, because it's often the narrative of, well, Maine's 94% white, and that 6%, we don't ever really think about that or talk about that. So we try to change that narrative to really focus on that smaller percentage, if that makes sense. So like I said, there's so many different ways to get involved. If you go to our website, which I'm assuming many of you have, there's actually a list that breaks down all of the different ways that you can get involved. And I'll list out a couple more of those in a little bit here. But I want to really go over what the pledge is and what the pledge isn't, right? So I started off by saying the pledge is going to take work. It's not going to be a matter of business as usual, right? So we're living in this pandemic right now. We're living during COVID. So I would say, I'll just make the guess that all of us know life is a little bit different right now, and is looking different, and we're going about things in different ways. So I want you to remember that when you are coming up with your creative offering and you're thinking about it and you're realizing that the folks that you are going to, the folks whose world you're going to be entering are people who are living in this country and living in a different realm, right? I'm not saying that, and I'm not trying to be like too much into like mysticism or that, but unfortunately for the Black American, or the new Mainer, as they say, the world is different, right? When we look at the numbers, Black businesses aren't getting the same funding, right? There may be 1% of venture funding goes to Black businesses, something along those lines. There's redlining, right? Banks are looking at Black businesses and not seeing them as viable as other businesses. We're looking at jobs, right? If you don't have a traditional name, well, in a traditional American name, right, you perhaps may not get the job as easy as someone who has a different name, right? So when I say that, because in the last few months and the experiences that we've had, we have a lot of people who want to partner with us and want to reach out to us and have conversations with us, but are going about it in, like I said, in the fact of like business as usual, or in the mindset of business as usual. But something like this pledge and working with Black businesses is going to force you to pivot, to think and act in a different way, to not only put yourself in the shoes of the person that you want to work with, but to also be willing to do things a little bit different. So not to like beat that down, or not to continue to say that over and over, but it's just really important to remember that. And we also say, and God forbid, but say BOM were to fold today, we were just to close our virtual doors, right? And it didn't, we couldn't get any more funding, whatever, right? We weren't able to do this anymore. The pledge can still go on, right? These integration of communities can still go on. The pledge, essentially, what I'm trying to get at here is the pledge should, and our goal for it to be is to be self-sustaining, right? It's not necessarily dependent on us. It's dependent on us to push the initiative, right? On social media or website or somewhere like a Zoom call. But essentially, it's on everyone who's here today and everyone who wants to join to really push it forward and to firmly believe it, right? We often see when with racial justice types of initiatives that they go on for a little while and then they fall off, right? The energy isn't as strong as it was initially. Black Owned Maine is like, listen, we want the energy all the time. You know, all of the issues that we see today, all of the injustices that we see today didn't just happen overnight, right? They're after, I guess, depending on how you look at it, they're hundreds of years, thousands of years of conditioning, right? So we can't expect things to change overnight, but we do hope that by coming here today, you choose, right, to continue with us on the path and to continue to do things in your own life that push the narrative forward. So, and again, I will leave, we're going to have time at the end for questions. So if you have any questions, just hold them, write them down, whatever works best for you. And there'll definitely be time for us to answer them. Now, I want to say this too, that when it comes to equity, right? When it comes to true equity, we have to realize that in this country, and I'm only speaking on this country because this is my experience, right? This is where I live, right? And I can't speak for other places. I'm sure things like this happen in other places, or maybe they don't, right? But I'm just speaking purely about my experience here in America and in Maine, even specifically. Right. So when we talk about true equity, there's going to be people up here, right? And there's going to be folks down here or even lower, right? And equity is really about balancing that out, right? So if we have someone who, we're just going to name them out, we have someone like Jeff Bezos, right? Who is like, hey, DEI is really important to me. I really want to do all of these things. I see the smiles, right? I really want to do like all of this work and really make things equal and a better life. Well, he has to be willing to lower his status a little bit or a lot. I mean, come on, he's a bajillionaire, right? So he has to be willing to lower like a lot. So I say that, and even though the increments will be smaller with everyone here today, we have to, and I'll back up. I don't want to say like that means you need to make less money or you need to do this or that. Essentially, it's the realization and the understanding that in order for everyone to lift up, there is going to be a little bit of a balancing act, right? And if I'm not making sense, ask me questions at the end, or not to just be like go to Google, but Google always has great answers, right? So I also want to make it clear that while signing this pledge can potentially lead to a partnership with BOM, it's not an official partnership, right? Just by signing the pledge doesn't automatically mean that now our organizations are going to be intertwined and they're going to always be working together and we're going to always be sharing information. And I think that's important to say, because unfortunately not everyone comes to the table with the same perception or like the same I can't think of the word right now, excuse me, but not everyone's here for the same reasons, right? And I'm not like calling anyone out. It isn't like you specifically, right? But not everyone is here for the same reasons. Some people are here because they truly feel the passion and they feel the need and they want to make a difference. Some people are here due to for performative measures, right? They want to be associated with an organization like ours. They want to put their name on the line. And I mean no disrespect by that again, right? I'm not like pinpointing anyone. I really want to make that clear. It's just the reality, right? It's the reality. If Justin Timberlake walks in the room, I'm gonna be like, yeah, let me go stand with him. Like if someone famous walks in the room, maybe I don't know him, but I'm gonna be like, hey, what's up? Maybe we can get along. And I'm not saying like we're famous, but I mean, like people, if something has momentum, it's often that people want to jump on the train, but they probably are going to jump off at some point because they realize it's just too intense or too much, right? So it's important. It's important to know that. It's important to know where you're at, right? It's important to recognize where you're at, because not all of us are. I'll say it frankly, not all of us are even in a position where signing a pledge like this makes sense right now, right? So what I mean by that is you may find that you don't have any idea where to begin, right? Signing this pledge is daunting. Coming up with a offering to the community is confusing. You just don't really know how to start, or maybe you just don't even know why it's important in the first place. And I hope if you're here, you know why it's important, right? But we all come from different perspectives. So for someone in that position, I would offer you two suggestions. One being that if you just are unsure where to begin, BOM does offer consulting surrounding the pledge itself, so we can help you to kind of formulate your offering or to just toss around ideas and really come up with something solid that makes sense and works for you. We can really work through that plan for you, and we want to work through that plan for you, right? We're not putting out this initiative just to put it out and forget about it. We're putting it out because it's important and it's something that we want to push forward. Like I said, if BOM were to fold today, we want this pledge to go on regardless, right, of whether we're here or not. And I hope I'm not putting anything bad into the universe, but I want to be here, but I'm sure you guys understand what I'm saying. And then alternatively, for some folks, you may need to start this process with some DEI initiatives or some anti-racist work within your own body and within your own self, right? And even for people like Black identifying people, we have to do anti-racist work as well. And decolonization and anti-racist work are two intermingled but separate things, right? But we have to do that within our own bodies. So again, it's not like a matter of like this is a collective action. It's a collective effort between communities, right? And if we do intend to integrate these communities more than they already are, and if we do intend to lift up business like Black businesses, then the reality is that all businesses will lift up, right? Black Owned Maine specifically focuses on that small percentage of businesses in Maine owned by Black people. But our whole goal is like, hey, wouldn't it be amazing if tourists came all year round? And I don't mean like the influx, right, that drives a lot of us crazy. I mean, like, imagine if it was spread out. Imagine if people came, in the winter or in the spring or in the fall. I mean, I guess they come in the fall, right? But outside of like the normal craziness in the summer, right? We're trying to really change the narrative around why people would come to Maine in the first place. And we know that Maine is beautiful and gorgeous and a great place to just retreat, especially if you're coming from a larger city. You can come to Maine and just like breathe actually and relax, right? So we're really trying to make that available to everybody, right? But if you are a Black person and you're saying, hey, where do I want to travel this year? And you're looking at the map, maybe Maine's on the list, but do you know if there's any safe places for you to go within that state? I mean, it depends, right? So I know it's a little bit of a tangent, a little bit more about like our mission and vision in general, but I think it's important to give context to why again, this pledge is so important, is to make Maine a safe and welcoming place, right? And I say safe, and there's often the perception that I just mean crime rates and things like that, but that is not all that safety encompasses, right? That means going into a coffee shop and knowing that you're going to be welcome in that place. You think about the Starbucks incident, that means going into Starbucks and using the bathroom without someone calling the cops on you, right? Those things still can happen in Maine, and they do happen in Maine, right? We don't live in this insulated world, which we like to believe we do, right? And it's easy to believe we do because we're so far away from a lot of, we are so far away from what a lot of people consider, to be large. But so yeah, so let me see here.
Hey Rose,
I wrote down a million things.
Can you just comment on what the actual pledge is? I'm sorry if you've already mentioned this. I just got to the room. Good morning, everybody. Thank you.
Good morning. Yeah, absolutely. So the pledge is a couple different things. And that's actually a good question, because I've talked a little bit about like the actual initiative, but how all the ways to do it, but not the actual way that you do it. So there's a couple different ways you can sign the pledge. So if you are a non-business owner, you can sign, and you basically, by signing, you're committing to reallocating at minimum 10% of your spending to Black businesses over time, right? So do the math, right? If you get takeout every week, you spend $100, you're committing to like a mere $10 toward the Black businesses, which can seem like a little bit. For some people, that's a lot, right? Let's just be honest. And for someone maybe up north that doesn't have, like, it's not in the Portland area, it's going to be more difficult to do that, right? So that's one side of it. And then the other side is talking about businesses coming up with a creative offering to the Black community. So that can be in the form, again, if we're looking at that 10%, and we say 10% because Portland, last we knew, was about 8.2% Black identifying people, which is way larger than the 2% in the rest of the state. So that's where we came up with that number. So it asks you to do a number of different things. Examples can include allocating 10% of your shelf space if you're a retail shop to Black businesses. It can include offering pro bono work to Black businesses if you already do that, right? And I say this because I'm not asking people to come up with an offering that's going to like put them in debt or like ruin everything, right? We want you to work within your means so that this is sustainable. It can also be something like looking at who you donate to at the end of the year. So if you're someone who is able to make donations, and you normally donate to the same organizations, it's looking at that and saying, okay, maybe I can go to the blackownedmaine.com website, look at the directory, and see some other Black organizations that I can donate money to, right? It's about building equity in general.
That sounds pretty spot on. I'm just wondering, how is it held accountable? Like, do they tell Black Owned Maine that this is what I'm doing and this is how much we're going to donate, or is it just like a verbal faith that this is what they're going to do?
That's actually a really good question. So let me see here. Give me 1 second. I just want to pull up. I know what I want to say in my head, but I want to pull up the language that we have on our site just to make it a little more clear. Give me
that
1
sounds
second.
Good. Everybody, I'm new to the state of Maine, moved up here in November 2019, right before the pandemic. I'm up here in Palmyra in the middle of Maine. And when I found this website, I was excited to sign up for this Zoom and learn more, and super happy to see the turnout here. And yeah, hell yeah.
Yeah,
thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you. Welcome to Maine. So let me do this. I'm going to go over a few more examples And then I want to talk about the accountability aspect, because that's something very important, actually. Well, you know, right? Because you asked. So other ways you can get involved. In Maine, actually, there are numerous Black farmers. You probably wouldn't know that, but again, you wouldn't know any of these things, right, without doing your research. But examples: if you're a restaurant, coffee shop, you can source from Black farmers. You know, there's lots of Black farmers all over the state. Which, again, if you go to our directory, it's blackownedmaine.com. You'll be able to see a list of all those directories. If you are a foundation or you own a trust, you can set up a fund specifically for Black or BIPOC people. Examples of that: there's Maine Community Foundation. They have the BIPOC fund, and they have the investing in leaders of color. There's Maine Justice Foundation that came up with the Maine Justice Fund, or the Social Justice Fund. Unum has a social justice fund. So there's ways, again, that we can reallocate funds, right? Other examples: if you are a CEO of a corporation, I don't know if we have any CEOs of any major corporations in the room. If we do, thanks for taking the time. But you can look at your corporate giving, right? Lots of companies sponsor events throughout the year. And again, we're asking for 10%. I don't know how to 10%. I'm like 10%. We're asking for 10%, right? Oh my God, I have these pillows behind me. Sorry, I didn't realize those were there the whole time. Awkward. So, so it's looking at, again, it's really looking at the things that you're already doing and readjusting those to fit more types of people. You can look at your vendors in general, right? So if you, and I talked about it earlier, but if you own a law firm and you outsource work, you can look at who you're sourcing to. If you refer people, or you use a group of accountants, right? You can look and say, okay, maybe there's a way I can diversify that. If you have a library, or you run a library or a bookstore, you can take note and take inventory of the authors that you have. And we know one major thing, one major issue, I guess is not big enough of a word, but one major issue we have is withholding of knowledge. So someone who is in a library or in a bookstore has a huge responsibility to bring that knowledge forth, right? So we can also look at media outlets. We have someone who just signed the pledge a few months ago. They're a major media outlet in Maine, and they have offered free and discounted advertising to our members. So again, it's visibility, right? And we want to go further with this pledge and eventually talk to banks and financial institutions and things of that nature. But BOM is more of like a non-traditional nonprofit, right? We're trying to give you the tools to make change, opposed to necessarily advocate for legislative initiatives. There's lots of other organizations doing that. Perhaps we will do that in the future, but right now that's not necessarily our main focus. So yeah, let's talk about accountability, and then I want to open it up for questions. So yeah, let's start here. So accountability. Now, very good question. When you sign up for the pledge, it asks you your information, name, email, phone number. We probably won't call you. Most of we're not gonna use your number to solicit. So don't worry if you put your number on there. We won't call unless we've set up a time specifically ahead of time. And then it asks you to input in the box what your offering is. So you're welcome to use one of the examples that we gave you here. You're also welcome to have us consult with you to determine the best fit and what makes sense for you. And you also, and I'll say it again, you also may realize that you need to do some DEI and anti-racism work before you even sign the pledge. So on our website, we have a list of everyone who has signed the pledge, or we are compiling a list so it's updated. This initiative actually began in October, so it wasn't updated for a while. So now it's going to be updated more formally and more, more often. So on the website, we have a list of everyone who has signed. We have their offering, and we really don't want it to just be we do want it to be self-sustaining, but in terms of accountability, we aren't just like, okay, sign and now you're on the website and everyone, knows you did the work and this and that, and you're good to go. You're off the hook, right? which and that's easy to do, right? That would be very, very easy for us to do. So we are going to hold more meetings like this, check-in sessions to see where you are. Again, the consulting sessions are helpful for both parties, because if you're lost, if you don't know if you're making progress, we can help you to understand that, right? And also to remember that it's a commitment over time. So I'm not saying that today you need to offer 10% shelf space or make 10% contributions. I'm saying over time, it's the commitment over time to make change. So I hope that answers your question about accountability. And again, because this is a living, breathing initiative, things will change over time. And if something isn't working, we can cut it out, right? And we can make room for something else. So I think that's all I have.
That's perfect, Rose. Thanks for answering that question. Super good.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you. So I'm gonna leave. I'm gonna open it up if anyone has any questions. So we are on Instagram Live. We don't really have many people watching on Instagram Live, so hello to the people who are. But so for anyone who wants to ask a question, feel free to either type it in the chat or to speak up. And if there are too many questions, perhaps we'll just go in the chat and go from there. So yes, if anyone has any questions.
Hi, Rose. My name's
Hey,
Charles.
how are you doing? Go ahead.
Report. And my question is this: are you 501c3?
Good question. So we sorry, I cut you off.
No, yeah, that's the first part. So go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, okay, great. Yeah, so we are not a 501c3. However, we have a fiscal sponsor that is. So our fiscal sponsor is Creative Portland. So anytime someone donates to us through Creative Portland, donations are tax deductible, as well as we're able to get grants and things of that nature and additional funding through our fiscal sponsor.
Okay, then my follow-up question is, I would like to donate to you through the 501c3. And from what you're saying, is it feasible or practical for me to talk to you and talk to you about ongoing donations, or is that not part of Black Owned Maine?
Oh my God, no, it is part of Black Owned Maine. That's how we live. That's how we function. So we do have a way to donate to us right on our website. And I'll drop that link in the box or in the chat box too. I will also
is that I need to do it at least as currently I'm structured to. I need to actually write a check and mail it.
Sure.
And also I wanted to talk to you about what ongoing might mean.
Sure. So what I'll do for anyone, for yourself and for anyone who has a similar question, so we have online donations. On that online donation site, there is a link. Sorry, there is an address for us. Alternatively, our email. Send us an email, and we can discuss different options.
Great, thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate the question. Oh, sorry. We have a question on Instagram. Can you repeat the questions? Yes, the question was, how can you donate to Black Owned Maine? So it's blackownedmaine.com/donate. There is a link to donate online. There's also an option at the end that tells you where to send a check. Alternatively, you can email blackownedmaine@gmail.com and we can kind of help you through that process. Let's see. Does anyone? Elizabeth, you can go ahead.
Hey, good morning. Thank you for putting this together.
Yeah.
A couple of things. One thing is I'm actually co-founder with Tara Jenkins, and a couple of our organizing group is here from Conscious Capitalism.
Yes.
She's about stakeholder capitalism, and we were just, Eric and I were actually bouncing back and forth for a second to say that it would be really interesting, I think, to put together a panel of Black-owned business speakers, especially if we can tie it back to that, to the work around the 4 tenets, which is basically conscious leadership. It's around the stakeholder thinking, and what you're talking about today is really about stakeholder thinking and then broadening our lens on inclusion in our stakeholder thinking. So that could be a really interesting panel, because I think it would be, we're all here, evolve with you to bring out some examples of what's working with you guys over time, and some examples of how businesses have broadened what they're offering because they're taking up this pledge with you. So that was just one idea that I'd love to approach with you. Eric and I could talk with you separately. And then second, just the other thing was around tracking the involvement of what's going well for you. Like if you could wave your magic wand as time goes on, having a group of us stakeholders here in this, maybe a formal conversation group, and maybe this is it, around what your needs are and how we can, what's going well and then what isn't maybe working well, so that we can stop doing that and focus our attention on what helps you most. So there's just a couple of thoughts for you.
But yeah, those are great. I would, if you don't mind, send me an email to blackownedmaine@gmail, and we can definitely talk further about both. I forgot, we do actually have a few people in the room who have taken the pledge, who I brought on today to hopefully talk about what they've been doing. So one of which is Hope, who in my world is right above you. So I looked up and said, oh, wait a minute. So Hope, if you don't mind, just talking a little bit about what you've been doing, and even you've been doing this before this pledge too, so.
Yeah, thank you. So my name is Hope Revelto. I'm the owner of Little Chair Printing, which is downtown Portland and Congress Street. It's a screen printing shop. So yeah, this is work. I've been printing the logo Black Lives Matter for years. Like I started in Philadelphia, and it was more, Philly is definitely a little bit larger BIPOC community. And so I was really putting myself in there and understanding what I can do as an artist and as a business owner. And so moving to Maine, understanding the population and realizing the need. I mean, as soon as the protests were happening, people were walking by my door. I opened up my door and said, free Black Lives Matter t-shirt, but you have to donate to a cause. So I'm giving shirts away, masks, bandanas, whatever, posters, but I had to make sure that people were held to accountability of like, you just can't wear a shirt. That's a start. And for some people, that is the beginning. And I am so supportive of that, because here in Maine, that could be the first time they thought about it, but they had to donate. So they could donate through me as a business. And then, so I started every week, I donate to a movement of Black-owned business artists, nationally, internationally. And so every week I have my screen, which is behind me. It's set up, you can walk in, I'll print you a shirt, and then 100% of donations goes back to the community. And then as it's been evolving, like I signed up for the pledge as soon as I saw it, and I was like, yes, I'm there. And so now it's on my website, and any Black artists, Black-owned BIPOC community comes to me. They get 10% discount no matter what. But then every order that I get, like I'm a small shop, it's only me. I can just, 10% is to me totally the least I can do. And sometimes I can do more, sometimes I can't. Like it kind of depends on how it goes. But I give donation and I give back to the community. So when Black Lives Movement Portland was like, we need t-shirts and sweatshirts, I was like, here you go, here you go. So I will do my part as a screen printer and as a small business in the community to make sure that I can use my skills to really kind of put it out into the community and help and identify that I am a safe business, I am a safe space for anyone who wants to walk through my door.
Thank you. I really appreciate you sharing. Thank you. Let me see here. Do we have anyone else in the audience who has taken the pledge and wants to share what they've been doing? I feel like we do, but
I can, Rose.
yeah. Okay, yes, thank you.
Hi, everybody. My name's Laura Marston. I own GoGo Refill in South Portland. We are a retail store, so you'd think it's really easy to just say, okay, 10% of my shelf space now will go to Black owned businesses, but we are a very specific kind of store. We are a zero waste and plastic free store. So all of our vendors have to also be selling products that are either easily sold in bulk or have totally plastic free, compostable, easily recyclable packaging. So it can be a little bit tricky to find even local businesses in Maine that will fit into our store. So it will be, so first of all, I had been following along this pledge. I had been following along before this, the 15% pledge that has been levied towards large retailers, and thinking, okay, how could I do this in my store? I'm a tiny store and I'm one person. I don't even know how to calculate my shelf space. So I just look around and see, you know? So, so I was been thinking about that. I always try to buy from women-owned businesses and stock our store mostly women-owned. So just adding another lens on there and saying, okay, now I'm going to try my hardest when I'm stocking a new item to find a Black-owned business, preferably a women-owned business as well, to stock from. So connecting with Rose has been really helpful. I have been able to find more local Black-owned businesses to start stocking in my store. Now, it will take me a while to get to 10%, but I have other ways, you know, kind of more ideas on how I can do that. So we also have space. So one of the things that Rose and I were chatting about is that I can offer space for pop-ups. So even if a product or a business doesn't totally align and fit in within GoGo Refill all the time, we have space where we can say, hey, do a pop-up. And then also trying to make connections with local Black artists to start a couple of product lines, and hope you'll be printing them.
Thank you for sharing. I really appreciate it. So let's see. Does anyone have any questions or any insight, any comments, really anything?
I have a question. I'm here representing a public library, so there's not a lot we can do financially, but we have made a definite goal this year to really concentrate on promoting Black authors and Black programs. And Dustin, who I see in the crowd, did one for us. That's fabulous. But anyway, I'm wondering if you ever do programs like a panel of businesses who would be willing to, in some format or other, reach out to a community through a library program or something like that. And I also have a second question. If we do sign on to a pledge, which we absolutely will, make some kind of pledge to work harder even at this, how can we show that visibly to the community to spread the word that way, that this is important to us and we are doing this, to sort of let them know it's something they should maybe think about too? Like, do you have, I don't know, something that Hope could print to put on a window or something like that?
Sure. Great question. So I'll start with the second one and go back to the first. So a few options in terms of visibility. We have the logo, Maine Black Business Pledge logo, which I'm willing to send to anyone, if they want to post that on their website. In terms of in terms of that type of visibility, posting on social media is great, and also like welcomed, but preferably a website or somewhere more stationary, so that way it stays there, right? It's easy to delete things, maybe not so much off of a website, and not that I'm like, again, it's not like anyone is going to do that, but we like to make sure that this initiative pushes forward and that it's something a little stationary. We also have, I don't know if you'll be able to see them, but we have these stickers that we printed. So something that can just be put on the window. It's kind of hard to see because it's like a transparent kind of sticker. So we can talk about getting those out. And then, yeah, I would also feel free to reach out to us first if you want to, but feel free to send out in newsletters or anything of that nature. And really that shows accountability, right? Not only just to us, but really to anyone in general. And then in terms of panels and discussions, so those are, and we had a couple, Elizabeth, you asked that too, we talked about that too. Yeah, so Black Owned Maine specifically, we are definitely open to different speaking engagements, especially surrounding this and other initiatives. I will say this though, we personally, we do not speak for free, and we do not expect anyone else in our community to speak for free. And I was just having a conversation the other day, or yesterday actually, about this, how there is like the idea that like paying someone to speak, oh my gosh, I would never think to do that or think to ask, right? But we just push it forward that like we do not do that for free. It takes labor, it takes time to prepare, it takes time to actually speak, and especially as Black identifying people, let's just be real, we've been asked and forced to do things for free for years.
We would not expect that.
No, I know. I just I really want to make it very clear, right? Because that's really important for us. And then also anyway, I can go on and on, but so I hope that answers your question. But yes, we definitely are open to panel discussions and things of that nature. And as we've grown over the last few months, we are going to actually be putting on monthly workshops. So they're going to be workshops for our community specifically, but for also the community in general. So stay tuned, I guess I'll say, for initiatives at least that we're putting on internally. I think I saw another hand a second ago. I don't know. Yes, Hillary.
Sorry, unmuting myself. Hi, good morning.
Morning.
Well, I was just going to actually speak about taking the pledge, just because no one has spoken about just being an individual wanting to take the pledge. And I took it immediately when it became part of my awareness. And it's honestly been very easy to hold myself to, even when traveling in state. It's been really fun to actually seek out Black-owned businesses through your site and just through social media and artists and just supporting them. It's opened me up to a whole new community on social media, which has been really great. So investing that way. And then if I, and that comes through, buying art, buying food, things I love, not that hard. But if I do feel that I've been like a little light on my pledge for any reason, and again, I don't write down every dollar, and it's just like a feeling like, is this balanced with all of my other purchases? Is this balanced with all of my other interests that I'm engaging and investing in? And if I feel that's light, and if I don't, and I want to go over and above, I just feel like always supporting through your mutual aid program is the way we can kind of stay also engaged with that pledge because of all the work you're doing in the community. And so I feel like it doesn't have to be this seeking out all the time. You are a connection point to that. And I just wanted to make that clear for people that this is a way to support. And is that something that you resonate with as a message? Like not just like supporting you is supporting Black-owned business, correct?
Yeah, no, that's thank you, Hillary, for sharing. Yeah, that is really important. I think we have like kind of two responses to us, to our organization in general. There's either the response like that where people want to support, or organizations to want to support us as an organization, or we're kind of like pushed aside, and they say, okay, but what can I do? And I say, well, you support us, and then we can support organizations. If you don't know how to reach into that pool that we've presented, which, like, I understand, I get, we are able to be that connecting point. And for anyone who doesn't know, Hillary mentioned our mutual aid program, which I can quickly give you guys a quick rundown of that. I won't take too much time, but we, since conception, or since, well, the first month or so when we started taking donations, we set up a mutual aid program pretty quick on. So essentially we are providing, we either pay bills or send cash payments or pay rent, things of that nature, specifically to Black families in Maine affected by COVID. And we're focusing on COVID right now because that's the reality that we're living in. So that might not be the focus forever, hopefully, right? So we've actually been able to give out aid to maybe 40 or so families, maybe 45 to 50. And that could be anywhere from a small bill up to like $300, $325 for larger families. So that's something that we're always doing. So a way that you can sign this pledge and can take action is by supporting us. But we have 300 or so businesses in our directory, so we also want you to support them as well, right? Because that's why we exist in the first place.
Rose, I had one additional question, actually. I just wanted to offer out that, but is particularly for Lakita, I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly, but it made me think about people being up north and other places. You know, Portland, I feel like we have an opportunity to have a lot of access. But I was just up north, and I was thinking, yeah, if I was a business owner up north and I really wanted to be inclusive and diverse and had all the best intentions, is BOM, are you open to being kind of the liaison connector for someone like Lakita to finding them, or the business finding Lakita? You know, it's probably harder for people to find those access points the further and further you go in Maine. I'm just assuming, but that was just something that came to my mind.
100%. My neighbors are Amish. I'm in the middle of nowhere. But yeah, it's been a new shift, making sure when I go get the mail, I don't step in horse poop. So thank you, Hillary.
I don't know if I can help with that problem, but I was just wondering if Rose could talk about the other one.
Yeah. So yeah, that's kind of a twofold answer. I would say we exist in that sphere already, right? With the directory that we have. We do ask that folks check the directory for those connecting points as a first step, right? And that shows initiative, that shows action, right? If you're going to a job interview, you bring your resume, right? You don't expect them to know who you are and what you're doing. And if you need, and then I would say get involved in the initiatives that we are pushing out. So if right now we're actually working on rebuilding our website. So I apologize. There are issues. I know they exist. They give me anxiety, but it is what it is. So we're working on getting that together. And we have a few different people that we're working on for that. But get involved in our initiatives, which will then also connect you in different ways. But then if none of that is working, I mentioned it a little bit before, specific to the pledge, but we do offer different consulting packages and things of that nature. If you just don't know where to begin and you really need help moving forward. And I say that because we do get a lot of folks reaching out that don't know where to begin, but haven't taken those initial steps that I just laid out. And you can see I'm one person, and I have one other person working with me. We are a very small organization, so our capacity is limited. We're almost always booked up for appointments weeks and weeks in advance. So I ask folks to just do what they can do first, and then if you need additional assistance, come to us, and we can work out what that looks like. So let's see, is there anyone, does anyone else have any questions or anything they're thinking about here?
Hi, Rose. It's Heather from Coworkers. And hi, Patrick. We spoke about my co-working space in Portland, and I was curious. I can see, the artists and the certain businesses and retail spaces that offer something, but as a co-working space, we cater to primarily women. We're female focused, but it's hard to find, when you were mentioning like the accountants, the attorneys, and like bookkeepers and people like that who are self-employed, who also have great skills that we'd like to, have in our space so we can all work together and tap each other's shoulders for support. How would I be able to find those Black owned businesses, this sort of like I want to make an offering to those types of self-employed people who have those skills to be part of coworkers. And I was talking to Liz Trice, who mentioned she was speaking to you the other day from Peloton, and we were agreeing that as a whole, our co-working spaces are very, they're not diverse enough. Mine, I think I'm fortunate as organically a women-owned, a female-focused space. I do have more LGBTQ community. I have some Asian and African American people in my space, but those other spaces have said they've struggled to reach out to the Black community and to let them know that they're welcome and safe there. I love the sticker, something like that is well known, like the triangle, the pyramid of the safe space with a rainbow in it, like it's sort of a symbolism for LGBTQIA community to know that they're welcome there. And so I have Black Lives Matter posters and things on my windows, and I've gotten a lot of people coming in because of that, because they know they're safe. But I just want people to know, on my website, it's also like the wording and things like that. And I spoke with Patrick about this, about how to not, as a white person, I'm your savior, like come on in, I'm gonna give you something special because of the color of your skin. Like white people are very worried about tiptoeing on that line and not sounding like an asshole, basically, pardon my French, about trying to like, do something. I have an adopted daughter who's Black. I know I'm very like woke, you know what I'm saying? There's a lot of white people who are really afraid, and I'm just speaking because I think a lot of people don't want to, say that or go there. But I think I speak for a lot of white people in saying that it is an awkward and uncomfortable thing, because oftentimes it can come across as the wrong message. And we want to be clear and educating other people on the messaging and not come off as assholes, I guess. So I wanted to offer a discount to Black owned business owners and made women and entrepreneurs and men. I have men in my space, but also Rose, for you and your team, if you would like to offer a 50% off discount on an office space where you could get together once, when post-COVID, if there's a space for you guys to organize, plan, and work together in an office, I would like to offer that to your team. And maybe what's her name? Hope, is that the sticker, is that something you made, or is there something else that you could think of that would really, if people walked by, it would be instantly recognizable, where we could see this on businesses all around Portland and all over Maine, like just like we have women owned business logos and stickers, people recognize it. And that would be really supporting and helpful for us. Okay, that's it.
So I will, I want to break that down a little bit.
Can you turn your mic up, or is there something on your microphone? Because I can barely hear you. I don't know what happened. It was good before, but now it's really, I don't know if it's just me, but it sounds really soft.
Okay, let me put my headphones.
Oh, that's better.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
Great.
I have the folks on Instagram Live who weren't able to hear the questions because my headphones. So I was trying to do, but all good. So yeah, so I want to break that down a little bit, and you make a lot of good points about And I want to say thank you for the offering. I appreciate that first, right? It's important for us to show gratitude. So I would say I would break that down a little bit further and to say, okay, so we can say Black Lives Matter, we can post the stickers, we can take all of the suggestions that I've mentioned, but we have to make sure that the space truly is a safe space and truly is a welcoming space. So that can come in the form of doing different DEI initiatives or doing different anti-racism work and things of that nature. Because, like, when you think of it like this, an employer is like, hey, we want more diversity in our workplace, right? So they hire a bunch of Black people, but the workforce that they have are super racist. Not that you are, but I'm just giving you a general example, right? Perhaps they, the workforce that they have is not open-minded. They're racist. They want to talk about your hair. They want to do this. They want to do that. Blah blah blah. So the question then becomes, well, should you do that? Should you invite these people in or like hire these folks and this of that nature if like your space isn't a fully safe space? I hope does that make sense? Because the issue with this pledge too, which we're still trying to work it out, and yeah, I get that does make sense, Hillary, a certification standard, because we can invite people into our spaces, but it doesn't just like signing this pledge doesn't just like guarantee that any organization is a safe organization in general. So I think oftentimes there is other work that has to be done either at the same time or before, just in general to make it truly aware. And this event or this program kind of took off after we saw lots of people pledging solidarity or posting stickers or posting different banners or Black squares on Facebook and Instagram, and we're like, okay, cool, but what action is actually happening behind that? Like, what actual action are you taking within your own body and your own self to change your thinking, right? And that involves a lot, right? And it's really hard work. So is that helpful? I hope that's helpful to kind of give perspectives.
I think that makes a lot of sense. If there could be some sort of vetting procedure that after somebody makes the pledge and they show that they're legit, if they could get a sticker up so that we can get some sort of visuals, I think that's where it needs to be. Just maybe some sort of small vetting process. And I don't know, let's get some hope stickers and sticker it up.
Is that helpful, Heather? I hope that's helpful.
Well, I will say our safe, our space is safe, and we have a lot of lovely, wonderful people in coworkers. I can't speak for all the other co-working spaces and what they want to do, but I think that the reason why people come into my space is because I have the messaging on my door and they get the vibe and they see the kind of space that it is from my website and everything. So I guess I just wanted to make sure, there's a couple of things. There's an immigration welcome center, which has a co-working space for the new Mainers that come in, and they tend to gravitate towards that. Mm-hmm. And I just want them to know, there's other options for you. If you want to, check it out, where it's not that it's like they're all over there. And I feel like everyone doesn't need to huddle together to be afraid to come out into the community and to join other co-working spaces and to be around other people. Like, we're not, I guess we want to include everybody into the space, and people know that when they come in, that they're included and they feel it when they get in the door. It's a space that's always locked. It's a space that we know exactly who's in there. Everyone is vetted through me who joins the space. And so I'm not sure all businesses would do that, but because we're a private social club and co-working space, I feel very confident that everyone would feel very welcomed in the space. And
So I would just say two things, or one thing real quick, that what is safe for you is not necessarily safe for someone else. So you have to really look at the people that you want to bring in and what measures, what they consider to be safe.
Okay.
And those are two different things, right? They're two entirely different things.
Okay.
That's all I would say, really, is, yeah. Some people, a lock on a door is safe. Some people, that's not enough, right? Not say, I'm just giving a small example, a very small example. So yeah, I would think it would be worth it to look at that community that you do want to bring in and ask them what they think safety
Yeah.
looks like.
Maybe this is something on a private call we could consult on, and you could even
Sure.
come and meet me and talk to me about what measures and what other
Yeah,
steps you can take.
yeah. Absolutely, yeah, absolutely. You can, you have my email, so reach out, and we can go from
Yeah.
there.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Thanks.
I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Let me just see. Yes, very, just reading the comments here. Yeah, accountability does take time to measure. You're absolutely right, Elena. That does make a lot of sense. We thought about that too. We just we want to make sure that we are authentic in what we do as well. But as I said, this program is ever evolving, so we are open to suggestions and to ideas, and really to take all of that in. Let's see. So we have a few. Well, technically we have 20 minutes left, but is there any other questions? Yes, Allison.
Hi,
Hey.
my name's Allison. I work for the Portland Sea Dogs, the baseball team. And I apologize, I missed the beginning of everything, and I know that you're recording it. And so I guess my first question is if you're going to be sending out the recording to kind of everyone that
Yes.
signed up. Okay, great. So I apologize about missing the
No,
earlier
you're
stuff.
okay.
I'm also, so I'm the assistant ticket office manager. So I'm not a person that kind of, makes final decisions. And so I'm definitely a type of person that's, collecting all the information and kind of bringing it to my bosses and saying, here's some actions that we can do. And so you mentioned, you have a list of, companies that have signed the pledge. Does it also mention kind of, what they're doing? Is it, are they doing the 10% shelf, or are they doing the 10%, donation? Is that listed out there?
Yeah, so we're building out the list to encompass everyone's individual pledges, and there was a little lapse in updating that for a little while, but we are back to updating that on the website. If you go to engage and then drop down to the pledge section, there's a list of about 5 to 10 of different individual offerings right now. And that will grow as they come in, really.
Okay. And then just kind of, a little background on us, we definitely strive to, be a part of community and support the community. And, kind of given everything recently, we kind of took a step back and looked at things, and, we realized that, a lot of our sponsorship, is not owned by, Black companies. And so for us, we're trying to, figure out the steps of making that possible. And so I know for us, we want to include in our program ad, something highlighting, Black Owned Maine, giving them the, the resource to say, you want to support Black businesses, like go to here and see, what businesses are around near you, and kind of also highlighting, the individual pledge. And so I was hoping, I could just kind of send you a quick email and just, see if that's something that, works out. And, for us with COVID-19, some of things for us is a little tight, just because not having a season, and then, possibly having some capacity restrictions as well. But, it's definitely in the forefront for us, and, making sure, that we create a safe space. We have a safe environment for, individuals in our community to, feel welcome to come here. So, yeah,
Absolutely.
so I really appreciate, you putting this on, and, kind of you know, you talk about doing panel discussions too. Would love to, you know, discuss maybe, you know, depending on what our capacity is, we can actually do something in person, socially distanced, and, you know, kind of make that work. But, you know, that's again, something that we can discuss as well. So just wanted to put that out there. You know, we got seats, we got air, we got all that. So
Thank you.
yeah, so yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Send us an email. It's blackownedmaine@gmail.com, and we can go from there.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Does anyone? Yes, John. You're muted. Oh, there you go.
Okay. I have a kind of like a practical question, and it kind of pertains to like my customers. Like if I wanted to, I've been thinking about like ways to like offer like discounts or do something, but I feel like there's a lot of potential to like make assumptions about people's identity if I'm the one being like, hey, you get 10% off. Hey, you don't. And I don't know if that's within the scope of what your organization is trying to do, but I just wonder if you had some thoughts on maybe some practical ways of engaging with that idea of offering discounts to groups of people without making assumptions.
Absolutely, absolutely. I'm going to repeat the question real quick just for the folks on live, because I realize that they can't hear our questions. So the question is, if an organization wants to offer discounts and things of that nature, how do they do so without sorry, I can't my brain is not, I can't get the words out today. We're not assuming, right? We're not assuming anyone's identification, right? So that's a really good question. What I would say is look to our directory, right? Our directory isn't all encompassing. We do have, and I'll say this, which I don't know that I mentioned. Our directory doesn't just list businesses. We list, and I think Heather, this will answer part of the question that I actually didn't answer for you. We list professionals, we list nonprofits, we list groups, anyone who is like out there and wants to make some money with it, with something, right? We're artists, we're open to listing anyone. So I would say there's gonna be no perfect way to go about it, because people of color, Black people, can be very ambiguous, right? Like we come in all colors. We come in all, we look different, right? We're, well, a lot of different people, or we look, you know, where we come across as looking like different people. So yeah, I would say look to our directory. You can know, as far as we're concerned, anyone in our directory is definitely a person that identifies with being Black or of the African diaspora. And other than that, it really would be a matter of self-disclosure, right? Self-identifying. You just have to trust the process. And I like to say that, like if someone lies about something like that, or they lie, you know, or I dropped $10 and, you know, they don't tell me I dropped it, they need it more than me. And I think those types of situations are fewer than not, right? So I hope that's helpful. Absolutely. Let's see, any other questions or comments? Or yes, Elena, is that how? Yeah, go ahead.
Hey, yeah, it's Elena. Thanks. Thanks for hosting, Rose. Hi, everyone. I'm Elena. I'm here representing Broadturn Farm in Scarborough. We're a cut flower farm and event venue. We have an Airbnb, and we also do design work off farm. And yeah, I've been eager to take the pledge, but also hesitant because I want to make sure we can follow through on what we say we're going to do. But I definitely feel more comfortable now after being here. Just knowing that we're going into our busy season with limited crew again this year, and also seeing our events being canceled again, financially limited, but I feel better about kind of starting small with a commitment to continue, because there's just so many ideas, and I feel like so many things we could be doing as a farm and as a design business. So that's a comment, but also wondering is there a way to contact, like, is there a listserv or anything like that? Like everyone who's in the directory. One thing I'm just thinking of is that we offer our couples that we do design for the ability to donate their designs. Like we go pick them up the day after the event. And traditionally we'll bring them to like nursing homes, stuff like that. But if I could get a list of people that or organizations, businesses that would be interested in that kind of donation, or just floral donations in general, that's something that is really easy for us to offer most of the time. Is there a way to kind of like contact everyone, or a bulletin board?
Yeah, that's a good question. We do not have any sort of like bulletin board or anything or listserv right now set up. Doesn't mean that we can't, right, or that we won't. I would say for something of that nature, when you're signing the pledge, put details like that in your pledge, and then we can at least post it on our site, and then also we can post like on our newsletter and things of that nature to get the word out. That's until we have a more formal way, a more formal way of doing things. So that kind of helps in the meantime, but definitely gets my mind thinking about other ways that we can start connecting people. So I appreciate that.
Thanks.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Hi.
Hey, Bobby, yes.
You do have 2,670 people on your Facebook page, so that might be a great place to do. I like Alina's idea.
Yeah, we have 2,000 on there. We have 16,000 on Instagram, so we definitely have a far reach on both. We will try to make sure that our Instagram and Facebook aren't like flooded with different posts and things of that nature. So we are very conscious of what we do post and repost, just so it doesn't become a method for people to unfollow us and not like us anymore, because we're just filling up their feeds. But we definitely we're very intentional, I suppose, is the best way to describe that. See, anyone else? We have a few minutes. Yes, Hope.
Just kind of answer John's like kind of question, as a business, like, I get orders coming in and it's like, hey, I want some t-shirts. And then it's no photo, that's just a name. And so what I've been trying to do is within my respond is just like, do you identify, I haven't, the wording kind of changes sometimes, but kind of at the end of the list, be like, do you identify with BIPOC community? And I'm offering 10% discount for them to let me know. Or I have to say, sometimes I go into their website and I see who the organization is, and then I just instantly put the 10% in. And it has surprised a couple of people in sense of like, hey, you just got 10% discount. But it's kind of, I was also thinking about how I could put it where it's like, well, if you're not part of that community, but you want to support that community, like I'm trying to figure out how I can be a vehicle and then be like, would you like to put money towards this, Black Owned Maine organization or this organization within, so to kind of really kind of hold people accountable, and also to kind of have that space for it, because some people, once again, just might not be aware of what they can do. And then, so as a small business, I can help push that towards. So it's, so those are the two things that I've been kind of thinking about and really kind of rewording and redirecting to figure out how I can help advance that.
Thank you for sharing. I appreciate that. Let's see, anyone else? We have 5 minutes. 5 minutes. I do want to give a little recap, so we have time maybe for one last question or comment if there's anyone with a desire. All right, we will conclude. So thank you guys. If I didn't say that before, I want to say thank you for joining us. Thank you for taking the time, for believing in our small startup organization. It means a lot, actually. I had no idea what to expect today, so I'm glad to see so many people showing out for this workshop, or for this, not workshop, for this info session. So just to recap, if you want to sign the pledge, go to our website, blackownedmaine.com. You can go to the Engage tab, scroll down to Maine Black Business Pledge. You'll see a little bit of information there. Sign the pledge. If you don't know where to start, you want to sign, but you just really need help, we do offer some consulting around that to help kind of formulate your ideas and formulate what makes sense. Send us an email, blackownedmaine@gmail.com. And alternatively, feel free to follow us on Instagram, Facebook, social media, all of those things. I'm very, very active on Instagram, trying to be active on everything else, but it's hard to manage multiple platforms. So Instagram is where you're at if you want to get the latest updates. And yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing where this goes. So thank you guys. I really appreciate your time.